Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words, become much more articulate. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about stigmas. A stigma is a negative interpretation on a certain field. There was this one day when I got a call from a childhood friend. He hits me up and he's like, "Yo, Armani, you got some time to talk?" I was like, "Not really, but whatever, man. It was good." So we're talking, and he talks about how he's going through a very tough time right now. Unfortunately, he found out that his girlfriend was not going to be moving to the new house that he bought. Instead, she was going to move overseas. And he said that he was heartbroken. He was going through a tough time, and he asked me what he should do. And I was like, "Why are you asking me?" And he's like, "So my mom introduced me to your YouTube channel. I've been watching a lot of the videos and I like it. How can I too get into this whole self-improvement thing?" So I give him some basic tips. I'm like, "Well, you should start off by joining a Toastmasters because whenever you're going through a tough time, what happens is that you're going to want to just chill by yourself a lot. And by joining Toastmasters, a public speaking club, you're pretty much being forced into creativity. So rather than using all that energy to sleep even more, you're using that energy to hone your public speaking skills. In addition to that, you should go to the gym because once again, instead of using that energy to sleep, you're using it on the weights. Do those two things, my friend." And he was like, "I really want to, man, but I just don't want to tell my friends about this." I'm like, "Tell your friends about what?" And he's like, "The whole self-improvement thing. I mean, you heard about it. The whole stigma in regards to self-improvement." Now, I'll be real. I didn't hear about the stigma in regards to self-improvement back then. I have since then. And the stigma is that people who do some form of self-improvement are weird, they're square, and they have no personalities. And that's what he was telling me. And I'm like, "Bro, with all due respect, if your friends are over here talking down self-improvement, that's their prerogative. But if they're preventing you from partaking in this journey yourself, then you need new friends, homie." And he's like, "You know what? You're right. I'm going to find a Toastmasters near me, and I'm going to find a gym near me, and I'm going to participate in both." He hung up the phone. Within the next couple of days, I began to think about it. Stigmas. Which field does not have a stigma? When I was growing up, the main message that I would hear a lot of people from my culture saying was, "Become a doctor. Becoming a doctor is the gold standard, and you can't get anything better than being a doctor." So growing up, I thought that this was a bulletproof position. I thought no one was going to talk bad about a doctor. You don't mess with them. Until one day, there was this guy who shot me a DM. He was one of my followers on Twitter, and he was like, "Hey, Armani, this thread of mine is doing very well. Would you be kind enough to shoot it a retweet?" I read the thread, and it's going viral at this point. It's a thread pretty much bashing doctors. It's talking about how doctors are quick to prescribe medicine, how they treat all the wrong things, how they're very, very bad people, how they're unethical, and much more. And there are dozens, if not hundreds of people just commenting on this thread, contributing, sharing to their own audience, as if this person who wrote this thread is articulating those other people's inner feelings. That's when I realized, whoa, a doctor, the gold standard, they have a stigma too? No way. So this was another field that had a stigma. As I was an engineer for a long time, whenever I would go to some of these networking events, the different people that I would meet, let's say some of the people in the event were business analysts, they would be like, well, what do you do? And I'd be like, well, I'm a systems engineer. They're like, you are an engineer? I was like, yeah. Why? They're like, oh, it's just as though you seem normal. Because most of the engineers we meet, they're weird. They're very, very socially awkward. That was a stigma in regards to engineers. And I shot back at them. I'm like, well, business analysts, I mean, they're always just talking a lot. They don't know anything about the technical sides. And they were like, that's the stigma with us, that we're just talkers. We're not really doers. So what I realized is that any field out there has a stigma. You just need to decide which stigma is worth it. Whenever someone is over here focusing too much on, oh my, what am I going to do with all these people that are going to judge me for doing this certain act? You're wasting creative faculties. Because when you enter any field and you're going to be like, okay, once I know more about this field, I'm going to see a whole bunch of detractors in this field. If you can expect that from the very beginning stages, then you can redirect all that creative energy from worrying into actually producing. So the main message is that it doesn't matter what it is, whether you're doing self-improvement, becoming a doctor, becoming an engineer, whatever. Someone is always going to have something to say about it, and it's not always going to be positive. And it's up to you to decide which stigma is worth it. Thank you for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I will catch you next time.